How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Box to Box. The international break is around the corner, the last international break of this calendar year. There's been a fair few, but it's the last one, people. And we head into that one off the back of Burnley at the Emirates this Saturday, 3 p.m. And I'm joined for the first time in a little while. It's a little while because obviously Burnley went down and back up, but I'm back again with Joel from Turfcast. It's been about nearly a couple of years now. I think the last time we played you was January 2022, Joel.
Yeah, it's been a while since we played you. It's been even longer since me and you linked up. So I think the last time we did something, I think Robbie came on my channel. I think you were doing something else. So it's been a while. It's good to see you again, mate. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, same. And listen, you've come a long way from the Sean Dyche era. It's now the Vincent Kompany era. And a lot's changed. I mean, footballing wise, a lot's changed at Burnley. We can get into this season and the unfortunate start for you guys sitting second from bottom and not transferring that record-breaking championship season into the Premier League this year. But there's murmurs, and I'm reading reports that Burnley are going to stick with this method because they think long-term this is the method to stick with. Whether you go down again and back up, they believe that Vincent Kompany is the guide. This is the football we want to play, and this is the football we want to embed as part of the culture at Burnley, which comes a long way from the culture that was set by Sean Dyche.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's three words, mate. It's a long-term plan. Like, yeah, there's a lot of short-sightedness in football, and some of our fans themselves are getting restless, which I'm disappointed to see. I know every fan base has them, but every time you see other fan bases screaming, "Oh, I want this manager out," you think, "Nah, we're better than that. We won't be like that." But it's got to the stage now where some of our fans are doing it, and I keep having the debates on the Turfcast socials saying, like, you know, who wants him out? Are they ridiculous? And some people say, no, I genuinely want him out, but yeah, we did it with Sean Dyche. Like, we went down and then we came back up with him. And look at how good we were last season, man. You referenced it there. You know, over 100 points, dominated that league. It couldn't have gone any better last season. We even won the league at Blackburn. Like, I know you boys did it against Spurs in the early 2000s, I think it was. So you can relate to that
as well.
Yeah, and United as well. So you guys can relate to it. So it's like it was so good what we did last season. So for me, he's got more than enough credit in the bank. But yeah, long-term plan. The board have got a vision. They want to change the way people see Burnley, because people just saw Burnley as this team that have come up, they'd kick you, they'd stick 11 men behind the ball and just not even try and play football. But this new board have got a vision. They want Burnley to be seen worldwide. They've got investors from worldwide, including people like JJ Watt. So yeah, they want Burnley to be seen in a different light, and the football is part of that. And they want Burnley to play an expansive, open, entertaining style of football. But at the minute, it's not been that entertaining for the Burnley fans, just the opposition fans, unfortunately.
So is this something that you're down with? I mean, you know what could come by sticking with the way Vincent Kompany's playing now. You know, relegation could be on the cards this season. But are you of the same belief as others that if you stick with him, regardless of relegation, long term, this is better for the football club?
I think so. I mean, well, I personally am anyway, definitely. If things do need to change, like, though, you know, we were better against Palace in our last game. We still lost 2-0 at home and didn't really lay a glove on them, but we were better than what we have been, which, you know, is saying something about how bad we've been. If it gets to the stage where it's like January, February, where we're still losing 3-4-0 every single week, then I'm going to sound hypocritical, but then it might be a case of maybe a change, but try and stay with the same ethos and the same mentality of playing in a certain way. Don't just panic and get Chris Wilder. You know, don't do something like that. No disrespect to Chris Wilder, but, you know, stick with that ethos. But yeah, for me, there's small signs of improvements, and you know, we have had a lot of injuries. We've had, you know, some mental health issues in the squad that's just been announced about an hour before we came on air with Lau Foster, our striker. Big respect. Hope he gets well soon. But yeah, so we have had a tough start. The fixtures haven't been great, and obviously you started well as well, so that tough run of fixtures continues. But I'm of the mentality of stick with Vincent. Stick with the way that we're doing things, and hopefully go down, come back up, and, you know, look at it's a big example, but look at what Brighton have done. You know, teams like that, and you know, because Brighton aren't a massive club, so I think clubs the size of Burnley can look at them and think we could do something similar. So go down, regroup, come back stronger.
What about your summer, Joe? Because I didn't pay much attention, and to be honest, I didn't research your summer activity. You know, what was your summer like? Obviously, it's your first season back up since being relegated. Obviously, a one-season turnaround. But what did the summer do for you as a fan? Was it a summer full of promise, or was it a summer full of your frustration?
No, this is another reason why we're all just like astounded at how poorly we've done. Like, not only did we dominate the Championship last season, but we then came up and spent over £100 million, and that's Burnley Football Club we're talking about. Burnley Football Club don't spend that kind of money. I think before this season, our record signing was like £15 million, Ben Gibson. And then we come up and spend, 19 million quid on a 19-year-old goalkeeper, and spend over 100 million quid. And we were looking at Sheffield United, who'd lost their best players. One of them came to us. Look at Luton, who, Luton are doing their thing, and I think if they do go down, they'll be in a better place for it. But they barely spent a penny. And you're just thinking, like, yeah, we're going to be all right. I think I went on other YouTube channels at the start of the season and said Burnley will finish somewhere between 11th and 14th, being all arrogant. So it gave me a lot of confidence, did the summer and the year we had in the Championship last season. But yeah, I think the gap between the Prem and the gap, well, not just the Prem, like the gap between the top 8 and the rest of the Prem's getting bigger. The gap between the everyone else apart from the top 8 and the Championship's getting bigger. And I think it's highlighted it this year. Like, we've dominated that league. We've spent 100 million quid, and we're still in the position that we're in. We've made some mistakes along the way. I do think Vincent Kompany's made some mistakes, and I think that has played a part of it. And as I mentioned already, the injuries. But yeah, the summer gave me a lot of confidence, and I'm still surprised, to be honest, to see he's in the position that we're in.
Yeah, well, listen, hopefully it turns around after this game, and obviously the away game as well. I don't want no turnarounds there. But listen, I've enjoyed watching what Vincent Kompany's done at Burnley. When it was first broke that Vincent Kompany's going to move to Burnley as manager in the Championship, it just didn't seem like it's going to fit well. But then look what you've produced. The last season, a record-breaking season. This summer, you've had, a summer full of hope with the amount of money you've spent. So I guess this bedding in period into the Premier League was somewhat expected. And listen, 11th to 14th might still be on the card. It's still very early in the season. It doesn't look likely, but...
It doesn't, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't look like... But it's still very early, Joe. I can't lie. So it's hard to really pin down, my complete thoughts on where Burnley's going to finish. I mean, Luton, Sheffield United, I know they're going to go down. Burnley, I just feel like it might click at a certain point, and, you can start climbing the table a little.
There's been some of that amongst the fans, and it felt. I go back to last season as well, because we started slowly last season, and we used to talk on the podcast about click days coming, but you could sense there was something brewing last season. You could sense they were playing in a way they just weren't clicking, and you could sense that was going to be a day where it all just clicked. This season, they're a lot more disjointed at the minute, and you're not really getting the vibe that it is going to click. But you've mentioned Sheffield United there. I think they finished bottom. Luton, yeah, they had a good draw against Liverpool. And I'd mean no disrespect to Luton. A lot of Luton fans follow me for some reason. I'm not really sure why. So no disrespect to any Luton fans, but I do think they'll ultimately just succumb to it, just for the size of the club and the players that they've got. Yeah. With us, I think it's one of 3 or 4 teams. Us, Bournemouth, and the 2 I've just mentioned. All we have to do now, I think, in my opinion, is finish above Bournemouth. But they worry me that if they're sat their manager, they might start pulling away a little bit. But yeah, look, all we have to do is finish above them 3, and I think we can do it. I think up until last week, I've been saying, no, we'll get out of this. We'll get out of this. Last week, I'm like, maybe we won't actually. But obviously, newfound optimism coming into this game. Not expecting anything out of this game, but then how it's got. The week goes on, you get optimistic, and you think, oh, maybe, just maybe. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the international break. Put it that way, and then kick it on after that.
Before we get into Arsenal, because it's coming up to that time, there was one player I did want to mention. If you mentioned his name already, reports coming out recently that he's been given some time off with mental health issues. I know in July he came out and spoke about depression, so it's been something behind the scenes. And if I'm not mistaken, statistically looking at it, he's probably been the standout forward. 7 starts in the league, 3 goals, 2 assists. That's quite a strong output.
Yeah, we missed him. Like, I know I said against Palace in our last game, we didn't lay a glove on them. I do think that would have been very different if we had Lyle Foster. Yes, he's a good number 9. He's a good goal scorer, but he also comes deep and links the play up with the wingers as well. And we missed that. We missed that pragmatism at the top of the pitch. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Jay Rodriguez. He's from Burnley. He's a Burnley lad, but I just think he's a little bit too old now. I think he's nearly my age, so he's knocking on a bit. But yeah, we've missed that. But obviously, Lyle Foster's come out and said he's struggling with mental health. Like he said, he spoke about it already. So obviously, the main thing is his well-being. So take as long as you want off. And I'm very pleased with the way that the club's handled it. I think a lot of clubs could have just buried it and told him to play. I'm not saying that happens in the game, but I bet it has done in the past. But it's good to see Burnley give him all the time he wants, and fingers crossed he comes back sooner rather than later. But it'd take all the time you need, Lyle. Take all the time you need, because that's the most important thing.
100% head up, man. Hopefully he does return, and hopefully he returns in form, because he has been the standout, especially when we're talking about the forward line. But let's move on to Arsenal now, Joe. It's been a little while since we spoke. January 2022, where was we? We was in the top 4 race. I think January 2022, we was actually in the top 4, having beaten West Ham around Christmas, Boxing Day times. That put us in the top 4. But that season ended, we finished 5th behind Tottenham. But we put up a title charge last season. And this season started somewhat strong, but there's also concerns and doubts there about our transition and our forward line and the fluidity between them all. What have you made of Arsenal this season?
I actually put a bet on at the start of the season. I regret it now, but I actually put a bet on at the start of the season that Arsenal would win the league because of the signings that you made. And at the time, City had lost a few players and hadn't really replaced them. They ended up replacing them. Yeah. I don't know. I do like the way Arsenal play. Big respect for sticking with Arteta, like for the club, because a lot of the pressure from the fans was get him out. And big respect to the club for seeing the long-term plan and seeing that it would eventually work. And it has done. Like, it's worked. You're reaping the rewards from that. I just feel you're missing a striker. I think if you had a striker, I know it's easy to say, but if you had somebody like Ollie Watkins, I think you'd win the league. I think you'd win the league. Or Ivan Toney, somebody like that. You need somebody who's going to score 20, 25 goals a season, pushing 30. You need somebody like that. And I know it's such an easy observation to make. Every club could do with somebody that scores more goals, but just feel like Arsenal lack a proper out-and-out number 9. Obviously, Jesus is injury prone. Obviously, Saka's more of a wing player. You got Havertz. I like Havertz, but he's not a goal scorer. He's not that type of player, and I just feel like you need a goal scorer. Ollie Watkins, Ivan Toney, go and get one of them in January, and who knows, you could push City all the way.
Yeah, have you got 60 million spare? Because you could take Havertz off us if you like him that much.
Right? Yeah. No. I think we spent everything in the summer, unfortunately.
Well, you'd have to add 200k wages on top of that too. But listen,
exactly.
Let me not delve into that. You're completely right. Up front, we needed something in the summer. Yeah. Eddie Nketiah remained as backup, and I think already this season we've kind of found out that probably wasn't the best thing to do. Hence, there's strong links to Ivan Toney in January. We'll see if that happens. January is around the corner, but there's a hectic schedule to come post this international break leading up to the new year. So we'll see where we are come the end of that, and we'll see if we get any business done in January. The game this Saturday, Joe, with Foster being the standout player for me on paper, not being available, get well soon, keep your head up. Who is the player that we most need to fear? Who is the player that if he has a good game for you this Saturday, 3 p.m., then you can take something from it? Is there a player that, because you've laughed it off, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that we do have individuals, but some of them aren't even playing. Like this is. I referenced earlier that Vincent Kompany's made some mistakes. I think some of the mistakes are the goalkeeper is playing the wrong goalkeeper, in my opinion. Ari Nekmuric, who were bought off City the season before, was fantastic in the Championship season, was pivotal to the way we play. Not the best shot stopper in the world, but Burnley, as we've mentioned already, now playing a style where we play out from the back, and he was brilliant with that. He got dropped as soon as we got promoted for James Trafford, again, another keeper we bought off City. And Anas Sarori, who I love, he was brilliant in the Championship last season, Moroccan winger. He again's barely featured in the Premier League. Manuel Benson, barely featured but has been injured. So if the players that will probably play, Luca Koleosho, a young 18, 19-year-old lad, is fantastic. Bought him from, I can't remember where it was from, but only bought him for like £1 million in the summer. And it's just a type of signing that Burnley would never have made this time 3-4 years ago. £1 million, unheard of. And then And I know it's not the best example, but he played against Diego Dallo earlier in the season. All right, we lost, obviously, but he had him on absolute toast. You know, he was booked within the first 5 minutes. You know, and he's a young kid. Like, he's going to be a very, very good footballer. So if he can get the ball and run at you, and I will say work on his end products, but it's kind of like a myth that he doesn't have an end product. What he doesn't have is a very good shot. And he makes the wrong decision a lot of times. Like, he'll sometimes shoot when you think, just put it in the box, mate. Just play that killer pass. But he puts it on a plate for players a lot. But the forward player hasn't been good enough in the last few weeks. So there's been questions of his end products, but it's just his shooting. Mike Trezor, whether he'll play or not, we're still waiting to see something from him. Like, he was a Belgian League Player of the Year last year, and he's come to Burnley and not really kicked on yet. So we need to see more from him. Maybe Audebert, if we see him play. I'm not sure we will see him play. And probably Jay Rodriguez, who'll play up front. Like I said, I do think Jay's a little bit past it at the minute, but with Foster missing, we kind of need him to rediscover his form from 3-4 years ago when he were probably at his best in the Burnley shirt in his current spell. So out of everybody, I probably choose Luca Koleosho, because when he runs at defences, you know, it can be a handful.
It's a problem, yeah. What about Arsenal, Joe? I mean, Jesus out, Partey's out, Odegaard looks like he's going to be out. If I had to ask you, and to be honest with you, Saka limped off with an injury against Sevilla, so he might be out. Considering these players that might be out, who would be the one for you that you fear you need to keep locked up in order to take something for the game? Reeling off those injuries that we have, I think the easy answer is Martinelli, but you might have something else in mind.
Yeah, well, there is obviously Martinelli. He's fantastic. That's the only thing that I'm expecting to get beat, obviously, with the season that we've had. But that little bit of hope is creeping in, because I watched you. Well, I dipped in and out of your game and the Manchester United game last night. So I did see how comfortable it was for you, and that worried me, because Sevilla are probably, all right, they've had a tough start in the Liga, but they probably are a better side than Burnley at the minute. So yeah, you've got a lot of good players, but I'm just a little bit not optimistic, but optimistic that it won't get battered as much because of them. But you know, I have said I do like Havertz. I just think he's not being used correctly sometimes, and I don't think he was at Chelsea either. I think he's a good transition player, but obviously you mentioned earlier that you're a little bit saying your transition isn't that good. So I do like him. You'll probably see him have a good game against us if he plays, because team players always have good games against us. Even Bruno Fernandes had a good game against us, and Jackson. Well, fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed, mate. It depends how we set up as well. Yeah, it depends how we set up as well, because there's been rumours that we might go 5 at the back to try and not go full Sean Dyche, but to try and shore it up a little bit, because we have been leaking goals. That Palace are a good side when they have their attacking front three, but their attacking front three was all missing against us on Saturday, and they still scored 2 goals against us because of defensive mistakes. So, there's a lot of your star players are out. So, there's a little bit of optimism creeping in, but the only optimism is that it'll probably be 2-0 instead of 4-0.
I'll get the prediction shortly, but to be honest, you are right. I think a low block and a back 5 would probably be the best approach to Arsenal, because this season there's been a obvious lack of creativity or something in the attacking third that kind of accommodates for the extra stability and control we get in game defensively and structurally. So definitely there's a change there. When without Jesus up top, it would be really difficult to unlock a low block. But then, with Trossard up there, our next best option, in my opinion, behind Jesus, who is someone that can drag defenders out of their position, I'd go with him, hopefully, but we'll see what Mikel Arteta's going to do. The game's nearly upon us, Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff, and it's prediction time, Joe. I'm the home team, or we're the home team, Arsenal at the Emirates, so I'm going to go with a 3-0 win for Arsenal. Right in between what you said, 2 or 4.
Yeah, I'll go 2-0. Look, listen, we have been bad recently. I do think Declan Rice will have a field day against us, because people in the middle always seem to have a lot of room at the minute. But if we try and change the system a little bit, and maybe try and go back 5 rather than back 4, and try and shore it up a little bit, then maybe we won't be as poor at the back, because we have been very poor at the back. We've been making mistake after mistake after mistake. Just go back and watch some of the goals we've conceded this season. They've either been worldies or mistakes. Now, people keep saying how unlucky must you be for all these players scoring worldies against you. Like, the only common denominator here is us and our defence. That we're giving you too much time to set yourself and score the goal. So you might score a worldie. Declan might score a worldie. So yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 to Arsenal. I'm not expecting anything other than a defeat. And like I said already, I'm just want to get to the international break now, and then regroup and go from there and see what we can do.
Yeah, we could do with a Kai Havertz worldie over here. So let's keep the fingers crossed for that one Saturday. But Joe, before we wrap it up, let them know where they can find you, YouTube channel, social media channels as well.
Yeah, just search Turfcast Podcast on pretty much everything. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever you call it these days, even TikTok. That one, I need to get the dust off TikTok a little bit. But yeah, just search Turfcast Podcast on all your platforms.
There you go, people. Turfcast Podcast. The channel link is in the title there. But as Joe mentioned, Facebook, Twitter, X, TikTok, all of that. Just search it up. Show them some love, because straight after this video, Joe will be doing a preview on the Turfcast Podcast channel with Cecil from AFTV. So make sure you watch that. Make sure you hit the like button here. Make sure you hit the like button there. Show some love to Joe and his channel, and let us know your predictions, thoughts, lineups in the comment section below. Love for the love as always, people. We're out. Peace.